paranormal. I like how she was about to tell us the reason, and Twitch is like, haha, go fuck yourself.
Hold on, we jumped the gun. We got raiders, everybody. Well, I wasn't expecting raiders. Worlds. Yeah, we ran into an audio issue right there at the right there before we get started. Welcome, raiders. Thank you. Thanks, Worlds, for bringing your friends. 14. Oh, I love getting those notifications. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Jeez. Yes, I know we were late. Let me.
Hello.
Let me enable speech, I guess. There we go. Oh, jeez. Sorry, y'all. We were having a headphone issue with Hazel's headphones. We were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We had to do a last-minute swap.
Here's my little sad headphones that aren't working.
It's probably the crappy little cable, if you ask me.
Maybe.
I can fix them.
But your headphones are working with the crappy little cable. My headphones aren't working with the crappy little cable.
I have new headphones tonight.
No.
You can't even see them, right?
No.
That's why I wanted them.
You look so, like, official over there.
Yes, welcome, Raiders. Geez, it's going to take me a minute to get used to these. Welcome, everybody. If you're new to the show, if you've never been here before, welcome, everyone. My name is Victus.
I'm Hazel.
This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. We are the world's greatest paranormal investigators, as long as you don't fact check it. And we do a straight up paranormal investigation. We look at a case every single week to see if we think said case is truly paranormal. We cover everything from UFOs to ghosts to high strangeness to weird happenings. I think our second episode of this ever on the show was a true crime episode, actually.
Yeah.
But let's see, what have we done recently? Last week was Hoyabachu Forest. We covered the most haunted forest on Earth, ? The week before that was the Chupacabra. The week before that, we did the face peelers of Peru. Then the Winchester Mystery House. We did the Black Knight Satellite. We covered the Bigfoot Patterson-Gimlin film, Loch Ness Monster, the Cash Landrum UFO. Martin Theriault.
Did we even raid?
Yes, you rated. The animation didn't hit because we were in a different scene. We were in the intro scene. Yeah. But yes. Welcome, Raiders.
Hey.
So it's so nice seeing new faces. I hope y'all stay for the show. I really do. We just started.
Yeah.
We've been live a hot 3 minutes. Worlds was on it like a hobo and a ham sandwich. As soon as we went live, that could have been like 6 seconds after going live.
Yeah.
Worlds was ready.
Yeah.
Worlds was ready.
Thank you, World.
I hope you finished your project, Worlds. We were watching there for a little bit.
It was super cool.
It's different. I like that it's kind of abstracty. That's the thing that I like about it. Welcome, Flip. So glad you decided to return. How you doing, Flip? How you doing, Worlds? Oh, geez, so many new names. Let me shout some names out here. Lady Tommy Turner, Spin Dash Dude.
Or there might be someone there who doesn't want to be shouted out.
Oh yeah,
shouted out.
Yeah. There's so many. I'm sorry. Yeah, I see Saints in there.
Sorry if we shouted you out and you didn't want to be shouted out.
Yeah, my bad. I'm quick to throw names out there because I get so excited when people come in.
No.
We don't get rated. This is usually a single-digit show. Even after we get posted to YouTube and all that good stuff, we don't usually do more than like 15 or 20 views an episode. So, if you're here, I hope you stay. We've got a really interesting case tonight. Something that I think you don't know anything about.
Ooh.
But it's really interesting.
I learned so many things on this show.
Yeah, there's so many like paranormal happenings that most people just don't even see.
Thanks for subscribing.
Blip!
Hey.
Hi, Blip!
Welcome back.
Oh.
Round of applause for Blip, everybody.
Yay!
Come on, touchscreen. There you go. Welcome back, Blip. We were just talking about you last week. Wondering where you've been. Well, all right, jerks. Well, for those of you interested, if you're going to stay around, we're about to hit this intro video and knock out a quick little opener. So here we go. We are going to hit this opener and do our introduction. I hope y'all are ready. Here we go, folks.
Die. And this monster starts running right at me. Annihilated by nuclear bombs. Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him. Oh, you're crazy. But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me. Contaminated. Face. It's horrible. Look like it would scare you to death. All right, let's get to work.
Oh, no, wait, not that audio clip. It was a different one. Hold on. Wait. I did that wrong. I've got 2 songs labeled cold opener. Jeez. This one. On April 14th, 1561, residents of Nuremberg looked into the early morning sky and witnessed something they couldn't explain. Contemporary printer Hans Glaser recorded the event in a now famous illustrated broadsheet showing spheres, crosses, crescents, and large cylindrical objects moving around the rising sun, with some appearing to fight one another before falling toward the ground through clouds of smoke. Glaser believed the spectacle was a warning from God, but centuries later, others have suggested everything from unusual atmospheric phenomena to one of the earliest mass UFO sightings in recorded history. So what really happened over Nuremberg that morning? And did hundreds of people actually witness a battle in the sky? Tonight, on Beyond the Shadows podcast, we are discussing the Nuremberg Sky Battle.
Bum, bum, bum.
Welcome, everyone. There you go. Now we got the intro. Speech chat is back on. We're back to normal operating altitude. Oh, geez. I knew you were coming with People Worlds, and it still threw me off. I always get so surprised. So I did the intro. Does any of that sound familiar to you?
Not really. No.
Yeah, sorry for being MIA. Just work things mean I haven't been able to stay up.
Oh, jeez.
Our speech chat is like...
No, I was playing with some of the controls. We're going to turn personality voice off. There we go. Now everybody sounds the same. Yeah, Blip, it's no big deal. We're just glad that you...
We're glad you're here.
We're just glad you're here. Yeah, I mean, we're people. We've got responsibilities. We do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
There's times where Hazel's missed. There's times where, well...
you don't
no
get
times
to
that I've
miss.
missed.
You don't get to miss. You're driving the boat.
I think one time I knew I was gonna miss, and so I did like 2 episodes in a week.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It was early season 1, and we were still figuring things out. But no, it's totally fine. We're human. We're people. Things happen. No big deal, Blip. Do what you gotta do, man. Do what you gotta do. Before we get rolling too fast, I want to say, if anybody gets hit with an ad, just give us a shout right quick, and we will...
Hey, at Worlds of Confusion, you've been keeping them company.
Just let us know if you get hit with an ad, and we'll be glad to sidebar the conversation for a little bit until ads have passed.
What? We never sidebar.
Yeah, we never sidebar, ever. We're masters of staying on topic and not...
I have indeed.
Yeah, and not drifting off a topic at all. Just text to chat, or TTS sound a little loud to you? Or is that just me?
No, I think it's fine.
Maybe it's me. It very well could be me. I have headphones in my ears now instead of on my ears.
Yeah.
So the audio is a little different, but that's why I get my
It's
own.
fine for us.
Okay, cool. I was doing the one thing I hate the most, and that's rewatching the podcast after we go live. I hate, because the reason we don't edit is because I hate the sound of my own voice and hearing the stupid shit I say. So I don't edit. I don't go back and watch usually, but I was super busy at work, and when I'm listening on Spotify, it just auto plays the next podcast that's in line.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm hanging upside down in a boat doing some electrical work, and then the podcast comes on, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, but I can't get my hands free. I can't get back to my phone. So I ended up listening for a little bit, and I did notice that the text-to-speech was a little quiet the last couple episodes, so I turned it up just a smidge tonight. I'm hoping, I don't know why it keeps getting quieter, because I haven't changed any audio levels, but I hope everything works out okay. I will give everybody a heads up. We did have a few internet issues earlier today, but I'm hoping that it has passed. While you were out doing yoga, internet went out like 5 times.
Oh.
So
Yeah, hopefully that has passed.
hopefully it has. We haven't had any issues in a few hours, so I'm assuming it has passed. But if it does, if we do drop, just go give us a minute and we'll drop right back. You know, push comes to shove, I will connect this damn computer to my phone and USB tether that thing. I've done it before. It's not graceful or beautiful, but it works. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Well, all right. Welcome, everybody. This week of the podcast, we're discussing the Nuremberg Sky Battle. Did UFOs fight over Germany in 1561? I hope Otter comes through tonight, because Otter cherry-picked this one.
Okay.
Remember last week, Otter was like, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Otter, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think I had to step away. His baby was running around and I had to get him.
I don't remember. I think
Yeah.
it was Otter. I could be wrong. Anywhoots, yeah. The Nuremberg Sky Battle. Did UFOs fight over Germany in 1561? Yes. 1561. A very, very long time ago. Welcome, everybody. I'm Victus.
I'm Hazel.
And good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. We are your personal professional paranormal investigators, and this is the greatest paranormal podcast in the world, as long as you don't fact check it. Where every week we put that claim to the test, and we record this show live, one take, no edits, and try to figure out if this week's case is truly paranormal or just some bullshit. Hazel, how you doing?
Pretty good. Really relaxed. Did yoga. I did
Yeah.
my mat.
I saw you
My
right before we
acupressure
got
mat.
Right before we got on, I saw you.
Yeah. I had my little things under my eyes and my little ice packs on my face.
Yeah, I was like, dang, she's fully spotting it out.
Yeah. 20 minutes worth of time, but yeah.
You look great.
Well, thank you. I
You
feel
looked great before.
you always look great.
Nah.
How you doing? How you doing, Victus?
I'm doing okay.
That sounds lush.
I'm
It
telling
was.
you.
It was.
If y'all don't know what an acupressure mat is, you'll need to look it up.
I was thinking about it while I was laying on it. I do think I need to go up a strength.
Oh no, the super stabby ones.
Yeah, there's 2 more strengths I can go up.
Essentially, she lays on a bed of nails for relaxation.
Not quite, but close, I guess.
What is the? I'll bring it up on stream. What's it called again?
Shakti? Shakti.
Yeah, let me get a good little zoom.
Look at that one of that guy's back. That's what you mean.
Which one?
The guy's back, or any of the back.
I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. That's what we need. So this is a close-up of the mat that she lays on. She's literally torturing herself for relaxation.
It's not though. I mean, it does put me to sleep most of the time.
I think that's the super pokey one.
I do. I think that
Yours-
is too.
Yeah, yours doesn't look quite as aggressive as that one.
But my back does look like that after I get off of it. But I have to set a timer, or Victus has to set a timer and wake me up, because I do fall asleep on it most of the time.
Yeah, that's it. That's what's sticking out of the mat, and she lays on it for funsies.
Yeah.
What strange humans we are.
Yep.
I mean, if it works, I'm not knocking it.
No.
Not at all.
Pretty great. Pretty great.
You're pretty great.
You're pretty great. Anyways.
All right. Cool.
Are we ready?
Are you ready for this week's news and paranormal?
I'm ready for this week's news and paranormal. Let's do it.
You notice our clouds are back online this evening.
Yes.
I ended up using that power supply I pulled out of the bathroom this morning. Saint.
Hello, Saint.
Hello, how are you? Welcome back. All the regulars are coming in. Here we go, everybody. Well, let's get into it. Before we travel back to more than 400 years to investigate a possible war in the skies over Germany, it's time to see what's been happening in the strange, unexplained, and occasionally ridiculous world around us. Let's get into this week's news in paranormal. Oh my god. I hit the button to fade out. This overlapping audio is crazy. It sounds like a 12-year-old's brain. All right. So first up, we have a mysterious black triangle reportedly filmed over a Colorado military base. A report published on August 8th claims that 2 videos exist showing a large black triangular object near a U.S. military installation in Colorado. Sources described the object as roughly 100 feet across and said the footage was captured by military personnel, although the Air Force had not publicly released the alleged videos. Without the footage available for independent examination, there's currently no way to determine exactly what was recorded, but giant black triangles in military bases are certainly a combination we've heard of before. Wow, I missed the title on this one.
Oh.
Yep, it starts there.
Okay. The UK government has rejected calls for an official inquiry into historical reports of UFO activity over Scotland. The request concerned alleged sightings and government knowledge surrounding unexplained objects, but officials have declined to launch the proposed investigation. So for anyone hoping Scotland was about to officially settle the UFO question, unfortunately, we're going to have to keep waiting.
And scientists may have found a new ancient sea monster. Fossils discovered in Osaka more than 30 years ago have produced a similar surprise. After researchers took another look at them, scientists identified previously unrecognized bones belonging to a giant Cretaceous mosasaur, including the first confirmed front upper jawbone from a Japanese mosasaur fossil. Some features of the skull don't appear to match known mosasaurs, raising the possibility that researchers could be looking at an entirely new species of enormous prehistoric marine predator.
A 3,700-year-old ritual site was hiding around a single stone. A student investigating a 6-foot standing stone in Derbyshire, England, helped uncover evidence that the stone was actually part of a much larger Bronze Age ceremonial site. Excavations revealed additional stones forming an oval roughly 82 by 75 feet, along with a ceremonial platform positioned above a natural spring. Radiocarbon dating places activity at the site around 1700 BC, and archaeologists believe the location may have been used for rituals over a long period of time.
It seems like they're just finding more and more of these ritualistic sites lately.
Yeah.
They're coming out, a lot of people are using the LiDAR.
Mm-hmm.
I follow a page on Facebook that just flies over parts of like the rainforest scanning with LiDAR.
Oh no, I said Derbyshire wrong. I guess it's pronounced differently. I don't know. I've never been there. Can you imagine if people had to pronounce the town names where we live?
Oh, geez. Yeah, it took me a minute. I'm still trying to get them right. So we have a Norfolk here, but it's spelled Norfolk. And I was quickly checked.
That's too funny.
It was the American version. Yeah, that's right.
Sure, yeah. I appreciate the grace there. You know what's funny? Can I tell you what's funny, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
As I said it, I knew that it was wrong. Like, it came out of my mouth and I said, nope, it's going to be wrong.
Yeah, we get professionals in chat tonight. Derbyshire. Der Barshar. Everybody's got a different way of saying it. Or Darbishir. Okay, you'll need to type those back in the chat once we get speech chat and back up after this news, news segment. 'Cause I want to hear.
Once we get speech chat back up, copy and paste.
I want to hear these after speech chat. Dear boy share. I want to hear speech chat try to do these. All right, so finally, archaeologists find a 2,000-year-old woman inside a mysterious stone pit. Archaeologists in Scotland, there you go, representing Scotland again, have uncovered the skeleton of a woman at the bottom of an unusual stone-lined structure dating back roughly 2,000 years. The circular pit also contained animal bones, ash, and part of a soapstone bowl, but archaeologists aren't yet certain what the structure was actually used for. One possibility being discussed is that it functioned somewhat like an Iron Age heated bathing structure. But the presence of human remains make the discovery considerably stranger. Further examination of the skeleton may reveal how the woman died and why she ended up there. And that's it for this week's news and paranormal, from mysterious objects over military bases to ritual sites and giant monsters that once ruled the oceans. Apparently the world is still perfectly capable of being weird without our help. So let's get back to our investigation, folks. Here we go.
Oh, you're like switching things up on me.
Jeez. Yeah, I usually copy paste, and I did not this week, so this got a little mangled. All right, we're resuming speech.
The way you said Derbyshire was adorable.
Oh, wait. So I remember now. So when I pause speech, when I hit play again, it reads all of the chats.
Oh, so we're gonna get it anyway.
So we're gonna get it. Here we go.
Awesome.
Let's hear it.
It was fine. It was just the American version. Derbyshire, 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 or Derbyshire, Dearboyshire. So many possibilities. At St. Ha ha ha. Derbyshire. At Flip the Balls. We have a lot of chambered cans here.
Yeah.
Which are little stone boxes that we use for burial.
Yes. Yeah. Here in the States, cairns are piles of rocks above the ground. There's nothing underneath them. It's a little weird.
Usually of important group figures.
Yeah. I remember, what was it? The bog man? I can't ever remember his name. But the guy was like bound. You know, his hands and feet were tied. There was a noose around his neck and his throat was cut, and then he was tossed into a bog, but it perfectly preserved his body. And he was like 3,000 years old. Gosh, I love that story. It's so interesting. And of course,
So interesting.
I want to whisper in your eyes, girl. Yeah. We're Bob Burgers fans. Sorry.
Ugh, my connection is ropey. Gonna try a big refresh.
Okie doke. We'll sit tight for just a minute, because I did not line up anything for.
It keeps buffering for me too.
Really? I don't think we're having any issues. Oh, geez, yes, we are having connection issues. Okay. Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let me close out some stuff.
It's not using its ground. I think their internet is being janky.
We are dropping frames. Currently, quite badly. Come on back up. We're just going to sit tight for a second. Jeez. Yeah, we're dropping like 12% frames right now. Hold on. We're going to get there. I just knew that tonight something was going to happen like this because the stupid internet issues.
Yeah.
Let me run a speed test right quick. Whoa. That don't look right.
Seems okay now. There is often a can above them, but the box is under. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Let's
good.
see.
I think we're good now.
I'm looking at this down here. So our our internet is not doing good right now. We're gonna sit tight for just a minute until everything sorts out. Utsi, yes, Utsi, that's the one I was talking about. Really interesting, really interesting. Yeah. Are you familiar with Utsi? Like, he was so well preserved in that bog that, like, his hair, his fingernails, his eyelashes, or everything was still intact. Incredible ability to preserve living tissue, bogs are. It's the same science behind how we were able to find that fully intact baby woolly mammoth. Because it's so cut off from oxygen and perfectly preserved. Oh, geez. It's just getting worse. Getting worse. We have dropped 15% of frames since going live, everybody. It's going to get real choppy for just a second. That came up on my desktop, but not my phone. I wonder why. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, we're going to run this speed test right quick, folks. Hold on. We're getting there.
Gives us time to get snacks if we were too stupid not to do so beforehand.
Yeah, go ahead and get your snacks. Money.
Moni.
Yeah, everything seems to be running good here. I think it might be a Twitch side issue. Golly gee, we're just dropping frames left and right.
Worlds.
It's getting better. It's getting better, but we're still having some issues.
It's but a flesh wound.
Let me pull up Twitcheroni and cheese. I want to see it from my end. It's a little choppy. Oh, no, it looks fine here. It must be stabilizing. It's just showing we're having a... Maybe it's an OBS issue. All right. Well, we're going to roll forward. Does everybody's connection look okay? Because OBS is telling us something different. But if everybody says it looks good, we're going to move forward.
Yeah. They did say earlier that it did.
We are within our... I think we're within our range. I think 5,000 kilobits per second is our average. It goes up and then it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. I'm sure it will stabilize. As long as everybody can hear, at least, we can at least move forward. Hopefully this won't cause too much of an issue with recording. Because... No, not at all. It's just been kind of... Internet's been kind of shitty lately. Just today.
Hello all.
I'm going to check this one more time. I'm just going to watch our stream for just a second. I want to see.
I heard hello all, and then it didn't come up over there, so I'm willing to bet that is James on YouTube.
At Worlds of Confusion, some of us might have been.
Yeah, it looks really good at our end. Okay, yeah, it looks good. It sounds good. We're going to move forward. Hopefully it'll stabilize. Everything will pan out. We're going to roll forward. If there's a if there is a connection issue, y'all can just let us know. I'm sorry, y'all. James, how you doing?
James.
Good call. It is James. Okay, folks, we're going to push on forward, and hopefully nothing bad will happen. We're just going to have to keep our eyeballs on this down here. It's definitely slowing down. But, I mean, the speed is getting better, but the dropped frames are slowing down, so that's a good sign. Welcome, James. Okay, so I didn't plan for who I was going to call this week. Anybody in chat, give me a name. Give me a name.
It's fine.
Okay.
Good here.
Thanks, y'all. I need a name, I need an occupation, and a hobby. Give me a name, occupation, hobby, and that's who we're going to call tonight. because I didn't plan. And it's my fault for not planning. I didn't realize by the time I sat down to really do the prep work for the podcast tonight, it was already like 25 minutes before the show was supposed to start, and I didn't have the thumbnail made or anything. Ended up having to stitch together some old photos
Yeah.
to get a thumbnail for tonight. But that being said,
We did spend a lot of time watching Worlds earlier. And we kind of just didn't realize how close it was getting to time.
yeah, we were sitting in bed watching World Stream, and it was, well, I usually get over here an hour before the show starts, so that way
Yeah.
I have plenty of time.
It's grand. We don't miss anything. It just pauses and skips.
Okay.
Hey, James.
All right, well, we're going to move forward with the phone call for tonight. Give me a name.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh, James Baxter.
James Baxter.
James Baxter. 10 points to anybody in chat who knows James
Yeah,
Baxter.
You could call James
Helen Mirren.
Baxter.
Helen Mirren. I want to go with James Baxter. I really like James Baxter.
You really do. You send me that gif all the time.
James Baxter's my buddy.
Factory boss.
Okay, we'll do James Baxter, the factory
Hand-making
boss.
crayons.
And James Baxter, hand-making crayons is his hobby, but he is my factory boss.
Don't forget to mute your mic.
Yeah, here we go. Hold on.
Music's still on and loud. There you go.
There it goes.
Now it's gone.
Helen Hunt baking cakes.
We're going to do James Baxter as my factory boss, whose hobby is hand-making crayons. So this week I called James Baxter of Adventure Time fame. Shout out to all of the Adventure Time fans out there. So I called up James Baxter, and I was like, hey, James, first off, I need to know why you're always bouncing on that ball. And he's like, James Baxter. That's all he said. And I was like, okay, dude, I need actual sentences because I have to ask you some questions about tonight's show. And, you know, I was a little nervous at first because he is my boss at the factory. But, you know, it's par for the course because I do have to call somebody. And, you know, I was like, hey, man, let's set the work aside. I got to ask you some questions because tonight we're discussing this event in 1561 that happened over Nuremberg, where there were a bunch of, like, strange UFO-like things that were fighting in the sky, and some of them crashed to the ground. He's like, hold on. Say that again? I said, why do I need to repeat myself? And he's like, sorry, I was busy making crayons, and I didn't hear anything you said. And I'm like, dude, chill out. All right? So we're discussing the Nuremberg event of 1561. Stop making crayons. And he's like, okay, I stopped. I was like, all right, I need to know, did this really happen? Do you have any insider information? He's like, hey, I got something for you, but there's one thing I need to know. I was like, what is it? And he says, this is serious. I said, what is it? He says, do you prefer beeswax or paraffin wax in your crayons? And I was like, dude, no, come on, I need to get this Nuremberg thing going. And he's like, all right. Look, I'll tell you everything you need to know, but first, I have a serious question. I say, sure, what is it? And he looked at me through the phone, and you know what he said?
What'd he say?
He said, what shirt are you wearing today? There you go. James Baxter, factory boss, with a hobby of making crayons. Apparently, he does have a preference between paraffin and beeswax.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Oh.
Now I know.
And you know.
You want to show your shirt first?
I mean, it's plain. It's a plain gray shirt. Yeah, it's a plain gray shirt. I was bored. They're boring today. Not bored, but boring.
Your shirt is wonderful. It looks very comfortable.
It's super comfortable. I did yoga in it today.
Yeah. Your yoga shirt. Okay, so I know it's comfy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have submitted to you for the approval of the Midnight Society a shirt from episode 249. Everybody's favorite. Our nighttime visitor, our nighttime friend, Mr. Sleep Paralysis Demon. Having fun with him. I'm having some fun.
You know what's really interesting about that is I think shortly after you did that show, I went to go visit my family.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I went for, I think it was when I went for graduation, because I stayed at a family member's house I normally don't stay at.
Yeah.
And this is like this really well-educated person, has a doctorate in engineering, like does all these really interesting things, right? And we're sitting in his living room at night, and he's like, yeah, when we first moved into this house, I started having nightmares, and I kept having this nightmare that there was this woman sitting on my chest, and she had like long, stringy hair. And I would, he told us this story, and I honestly can't remember the particulars.
Backwards and was gonna turn it as a super easy thing.
Oh, that would be great. I wish I would have done that.
Yay, demon.
Yeah, and it's so strange because this is not the person who I would have ever thought would have said that. Like, I would have thought he would have written that off as like,
yeah.
And he said, so if that happens to you, like he just sort of alluded to like it being a thing.
Yeah.
And so, my mom and I happened to be at the house, and she slept in a different room, and I remember going to sleep in the room I was in and just like saying a really like, desperate prayer of like, please protect me from whatever it is. And I didn't have any issues, but yeah.
No, it's crazy that happened though, because we did the investigation, and
it was shortly before. There's no way that he would have known because
I don't talk to that family member.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a Christmas card or something every now and again, but that's it. I don't think we've sat down in a room together.
No,
ever.
I don't think you have. I'm not sure he's
have I ever
met you.
Him?
I don't think you. Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Super duper weird. Yeah.
So that one I believe is paranormal because.
Yeah. So the shirt, I had a hard time coming up with a decent design. I ended up mixing like the sleep paralysis demon looking thing with the Hat Man, because the episode was actually sleep paralysis demon, the old hag, and the Hat Man all in one episode. And I had a hard time really putting together like an old hag. It was just too much fine detail. I do these designs myself. They're iron-on and cut out vinyl. It's a lot of work, and I still manage to make one every single week. But no, it was just too much going on. So I was like, you know what? Let's make the sleep paralysis demon the Hat Man. And I feel like it just hit the broad strokes. But we did have a lot of fun with that. Have I ever told you my sleep paralysis story?
I don't know if you have or not. Maybe you did after, but I don't know if you told all of these wonderful people.
So I have had sleep paralysis, but I've never had like the old hag or the demon or whatever, the sleep paralysis demon, nothing like that. But I did have sleep paralysis, and it was terrifying to say the least. Essentially, I was dreaming, and my body, part of my body, woke up from the dream, And I opened my eyes and I could see the room, and I knew I was having a bad dream because, like when you're having a bad dream, you're like, I gotta wake up.
Yeah.
And so when you wake up, you sit up and you do something to clear your head. So that's what I do is I'm having bad dreams, which I do a lot, admittedly. I'll roll over and do something on my phone or open my laptop for 15 minutes or so just to clear my brain. And woke up from this bad dream, and I just want to roll over and just look at Facebook or something for 15 minutes. And I tried to roll over and I couldn't move. And I remember like trying to lift my hands, couldn't lift my hands. I feel like I was screaming, but I couldn't open my mouth. But I think we were dating at the time and you were staying the night. I don't remember if you had said anything about it or if I even made a noise. I may not have made a noise. I don't even know. But it, to me, it felt like I was screaming, but with my mouth closed.
Yeah.
And once I couldn't open my mouth and scream, it was just horrifying. Then the fear just ramps up. And, when you don't have control of your own body.
Right.
Because like body movements, they're subconscious. Your brain is sending signals to your extremities to move, to do whatever you need to do. When you do not have control of that facility, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I remember laying there it was just like one of those dreams where you're trying to run through like sludge, and no matter how hard you strain, you just can't move.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have those dreams, it's your body's in a partially awake state, and your muscles are physically trying to move, but in a nutshell, your brain releases chemicals to keep you still while you're sleeping.
Right.
So you don't act out your dreams.
Right.
And so I feel like your brain is partially awake, but your body's asleep. So you're trying to move. And then that, plays a factor into your dreams. And so you feel like you're slogging through. But it was absolutely horrifying. And I sat up in bed thinking that I was, I woke the neighborhood screaming. But
the neighborhood we lived in at that time, it probably wouldn't have
no
raised any alarms.
No, it wouldn't have. But no, it was really strange. It was really, really strange.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that there wasn't anything sitting on my chest. I could see how people could draw the correlation for sure.
Yeah.
Because it did feel like something was holding you down. But when, the analytic brain kicked in, and eventually I was like, oh no, it's just my body's asleep and my mind's awake kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was strange. All right, so enough ribble rabble. Before we dive into tonight's episode, anybody in chat's welcome to chime in. What Hazel do you know about the 1561 Nuremberg Sky Battle?
Well, that was like shortly before I was born.
1564, yeah.
And I really don't know anything about it.
I was 25 when this happened.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I start showing you the pictures associated with this investigation.
The pictures?
Yes, we have pictures.
From 1561?
We do.
Lord have mercy.
Well, not photos, so don't get too excited. We have illustrations drawn by artists that's seen the event. We have newspaper articles from 1561. He's laughing already. All right, everybody. So that's a no for tonight. Absolutely not paranormal.
Absolutely not paranormal.
Thanks, everybody, for coming in tonight. We'll see y'all next week. No, I'm joking.
You're gonna have to stop doing that. People will think it's over.
Jeez. But yeah, I mean, think about the mindset here. 1561. Let's think about how difficult and time-consuming it was for somebody to do an illustration. Like if we wanted to illustrate something today, yeah, wood carvings. We have several wood cuttings tonight. Think of how long it would take to cut an illustration into wood. and the amount of effort it would take to cut an illustration into wood, let alone hand illustrate, something had to have happened.
Yeah.
To force all these people to think that it was worth recording it. And it's a weird case. It's a really weird case.
Ha.
There's that delay. Yeah, it's okay, cool. Look, our frames came back up. I wasn't even paying attention.
Yay.
But yeah, it's a really strange case. One of our listeners last week cherry picked this one out of our list of potential episodes. Hopefully they're going to pop in tonight. Hopefully. Oh, geez, we lost 3 people. Did you guys leave? Did they leave, really? Because they thought the show was over?
Maybe. I told you.
Oh, geez. No, it's fine. It's fine. We're still going to do it anyway. You're stuck here now. Get ready for all sorts of evidence. 1561. Yeah. This thing goes way, way, way back. We have... Okay, so don't look. Don't cheat. I need to look and see how many of these... 1, 2, 3, 4 newspaper clippings and 1 painting. Okay. And then one of the newspaper clippings is a painting.
Oh.
So it's like they put the painting in the newspaper, essentially. So, we've got a lot to go over tonight. And just to be clear, you don't know anything about this. I feel like when you see some of the illustrations, you're going to be like, wait, I've seen that somewhere before. Because I feel like I've seen one of the illustrations in like a history book, like back in high school or something. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. I hope everybody's comfy, cozy. You got your safety blankets and your stuffed animals for comfort. Are you freezing to death yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'm not shy about going to get a blanket.
That's what I was saying earlier. We had to get you like a sweet Halloween blanket to drape over this chair.
Yeah.
That way when you do get cold, you
But
can
I'd
just...
that would encourage me to go to sleep, I think, because I'd be so soft all
Do you
the
think
time.
you could sleep in that chair while we're podcasting?
I think if I had the right blanket, anything could happen.
I'm phlegmy. Oh no. I'm gonna get hiccups later. I can feel it. Stop yawning. Too early for yawns.
I kept my mouth closed and everything.
You did so good. Okay, well, let's dive into it, folks. I hope everybody's ready. This is Season 3, Episode 33, Beyond the Shadows podcast. Tonight we're discussing the Nuremberg Sky Battle. Did UFOs fight over Germany? All right. This is Act 1, everybody. Act 1, A Morning Over Nuremberg. Act 1. So to understand this story, we have to go back more than 4.5 centuries to the city of Nuremberg, in what was then the Holy Roman Empire. In 1561, there were no airplanes, satellites, weather balloons, or any concept of a UFO as we understand it today. When people saw something unusual in the sky, they interpreted it through the world they knew. Strange celestial events could be seen as warnings, omens, or messages from God. Because almost everything we know about what happened over Nuremberg comes from a document created within that culture. The date was April 14th, 1561, and according to the surviving accounts, sometime between 4 and 5 in the morning, as the sun was rising, something unusual appeared in the sky. And this wasn't described as something witnessed by one person standing alone in a field. The account specifically claims that it was seen by many men and women, both inside Nuremberg and outside the city gates, and in the surrounding countryside. Our primary source is a man named Hans Glaser, a printer working in Nuremberg. Glaser produced a single sheet illustrated broadsheet combining a large colored woodcut with a written inscription of what was supposedly happening that morning. And remarkably, copies of that document still survive.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at what you have to say now.
Oh, you're looking at this ridiculous pronunciation. I'm about to have to see. It's funny because I know German, but these are names, and I am horrible with names. For the sake of this part of, we're about to abbreviate some names here. But for this,
I think it's Zentrale Bibliothek.
For the sake of this part
Zurich.
of the investigation, I'm going to actually pull up the illustration that's being described here while we go through Act 1. Let's check this bad boy out. It is wild. Absolutely wild. All right, cross your fingers I can get this right. One is preserved today. The Central Bibliotheca Zurich, the Central Library of Zurich, Switzerland. Oh, so it's not German. It's something else. Yeah. The broadsheet measures roughly 10 by 15 inches. Its large woodcut attempts to show what witnesses claimed was happening above the city. If you've ever seen anything about the Nuremberg incident, you almost certainly seen this image. At the bottom is the city itself. Above is the rising sun. And surrounding the sun are objects of almost every imaginable shape. There are round objects in red, blue, black, and what Glaser described as iron-like color.
Blue cool.
Right? There are long rod or tube-like objects, including two especially large ones. Several of those tubes appear to contain smaller spheres. And then off to one side of the illustration is one of the strangest objects of the entire picture. A massive black shape resembling a spear.
That's me holding a spear.
Okay. But before we go any further, there's something very important to establish. This image is not a photograph, clearly. Not a photograph. I know, right? Here we go. We get a sound for that.
Did they have their phone out?
Yeah. This is not a photograph, people. This is a photograph of a woodcut. This is a photograph, but that illustration is not a photograph. What we're looking at is a 16th century artist representation of an event. We don't know whether every object looked exactly as Glaser depicted it, but as we don't have photographs, videos, or radar data, or physical evidence to compare against his account. We also don't have hundreds of individual witness statements. What we have is Glaser telling us what many people witnessed that morning. And Glaser wasn't approaching this as an investigator trying to determine what kind of objects had appeared over Nuremberg. He already had an explanation for why it happened. He believed it was a warning from God. Toward the end of the broadsheet, Glaser essentially tells his readers that these are strange signs appearing in the heavens should encourage people to repent and change their lives before God sends punishment. Excuse me. Choking on my own spit. That religious interpretation is one of the biggest complications with this entire case, because more than 4 centuries later, we're trying to separate two completely different questions. What did Hans Glaser believe this event meant? And more importantly, what did the people of Nuremberg actually see? Because when we strip away Glaser's interpretation and concentrate only on what he claimed happened in the sky, the story becomes much stranger. He describes spheres, crosses, crescents, large tubes containing smaller objects moving toward one another, and eventually, according to Glaser, all of them began to do something that the witnesses watching from below apparently interpreted in a very specific way. They began to fight. And according to the surviving account, that would continue to grow. Or that fight would continue for roughly an hour.
Is it Glaser?
Glazier.
But how come it's pronounced Gla?
Glazier? Oh, I'm sorry. The German pronunciation would be Glazier.
Oh.
You can call it whatever you'd like.
I don't want to get it wrong.
Well,
I wonder if the blue tube, bracelets with the red balls, a representation of movement of lights going in a line, circle, disc.
I don't know. Because from what I gather in the text below, they were saying that they were tubes with objects inside it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more of a literal interpretation. But this is a really, really weird one. This is a really weird one. I'm glad we opened.
Cylinder must not be harmed.
The cylinder must be harmed. Yeah, it's interesting. There's also like several of the cylinders here and here with nothing inside of them, but they clearly have like a lid, and like one end has a cap. This is super weird. Like it's like a telescope with like a cap on the end. Oh, I can't, the QR code's in the way. Let me super zoom in. There we go. There's like it looks like a lid that flips open, right?
Yeah.
It almost feels like if I were to like judge this illustration alone, it feels like the cylinders are there as the delivery object for the spheres.
Yeah. Son looks super pissed off that this is happening.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's mad. Yeah, he does not
why
want to
would
be
you
there.
do this right in front of my face?
I do kind of have an explanation for some of these crosses. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But the weirdest part is this mess. Do you know what comes to mind?
Mhm.
Giant triangle-shaped UFO. Could you not say that could be two triangular-shaped UFOs, one behind the other?
Maybe.
A mothership, perhaps?
Ooh, a mothership.
That's right. Because the father ship left to get milk and never came home. But no, this is real. This is not a... Don't everybody get all worked up. This is not AI. This is a physical piece of historical documentation. This has been around since the mid-1500s. I don't know how long it took them to make this, but I can imagine it wasn't quick and easy. Is that a superimposed Z? That's weird.
Ooh.
There's a row of Z's.
It's like the alien Zorro.
Zoltan?
No, I mean like because he did the
Oh, yeah.
sword.
Yeah, he screwed up the Z and you got a giant black spear instead. But no, it's so if we...
Interesting to think about their reference points at the time, what their brains would have tried to interpret what they saw.
Yes, so a lot of people are going to be looking at this through a religious lens. This was the Holy Roman Empire. People were deathly afraid of God. This was the fire and brimstone God era, where you don't do anything to piss off God, because if you do, you will be smote. You will be smoted.
Right.
So I can understand, 1500s, they were still kind of incorporating.
What's the smoke coming out from the town? Did something get destroyed?
Yes. So we're going to get to this, but if you look closely, there's actually a few of these spheres had crashed. So we'll get to that here in a minute, but a few of them do. Essentially they think they're fighting, and a few of them do take damage and fall out of the sky.
Oh.
Apparently. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's a really interesting wood cutting. I mean, it's immaculately detailed. Again, I couldn't even tell you how long something like this would take to do.
Yeah.
So you would have to do anything that's white would have to be carved away. So think of it like a stamp. The raised part of a stamp is all that you get from an ink transfer. So this was a wood cutting. So this was carved out of wood and made a stamp out of wood. So everything that's white had to have been carved away. And it's just, I mean, immaculate attention to detail, by the way. I cannot tell you how long it would take
This
to
is
do
an
something like
intersecting
this.
one because there wasn't really the UFO culture as we know it now, but also the guy that's the primary source stood to benefit from sales of his published broadsheet, right?
He did, but again, there was conversations, and people in and outside of the city both saw this. So, I mean, we could be looking at a few different things here.
Yeah.
But we're really early on in this investigation. It's hard to put a finger on the pulse quite yet.
Yeah. Well, before we get to Act 2, I need to take a bathroom break, and I hear the dog downstairs barking, so we probably need to check on him.
Okay. We'll take a quick bathroom break, everybody. We'll be right back. We'll get into Act 2, and we'll be talking in more detail about the battle in the sky. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I'm actually leaning towards not paranormal.
I like how she was about to tell us the reason, and Twitch is like, haha, go fuck yourself. Give me your money if you don't want ads.
Fucking ads. Oh, jeez. Are you in ads, Money? Are you in ads?
At Moni_moo_f.
Hef's here, everybody. Everybody's waved to Hef. Heffies. Officials continued labeling most deaths as exposure, but quietly among locals, that explanation stopped feeling satisfying. Because exposure doesn't explain why experienced residents removed clothing. It doesn't explain why scent trails ended abruptly. It doesn't explain why people wandered extraordinarily far distances in deadly cold. And it doesn't explain why so many people reported the same strange experiences beforehand. As modern society internalizes it, we call it misinterpretation, cognitive bias, or environmental effect. We explain it through physics and psychology. But the outcome remains the same. A person stands at the edge of dark water. They hear something unusual, or they believe they do, and they focus on it. They move closer. And the difference between myth and modern report is mostly language. No visible distress, no sign of panic. Witnesses describe them as quiet, distracted, or focused on something no one else noticed. Then they step into the water, sometimes fully clothed, sometimes after removing their shoes and setting them aside neatly. But occasionally, there are details that stand out. Family members report that the person had mentioned hearing something unusual near the shoreline days earlier. A humming, a voice that seemed closer than it should have been. But what stands out in certain reports is the interpretation. Some individuals describe the sound as patterned, almost melodic. Others say it's felt as if it was directed at them. By the late 1990s, the disappearances around Nome were no longer the only thing worrying residents. Doctors, counselors, and family members were hearing the same disturbing stories repeated again and again. People waking up in the middle of the night, completely unable to move, fully aware of their surroundings, but paralyzed as if their bodies no longer belonged to them. Still, the theories in the stories kept coming. Lights in the sky, shadows in the bedrooms, paralysis in the night, disappearances in the cold, all centered around the same small, isolated region.
Does it look like Casper Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from last week?
No, it actually looks like a I had to watch that last video for just a second. I was like, oh no, are we talking about sleep paralysis?
Oh.
No, that was the fourth kind episode.
That would have been really weird.
Telling you, the synchronicity, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Ugh, spooky sometimes. All right, well, folks, we're back. I hope everybody else got their bathroom break in. Welcome to the adult club of needing to use the bathroom regularly.
Yep.
Are you ready for Act 2?
I'm ready. Can do it.
Get rid of these big, gigantic pictures. I'm starting to get a tiny ocular migraine.
Uh-oh. Need to take medicine?
I'm okay right now.
Ready?
What? Wait, let's fade out some music. What do you want, ambient sounds or spooky outside sounds?
Spooky outside sounds.
All right, you got it.
Act 2. The Battle in the Sky. Act 2. According to Hans Glaser, the event began between 4 and 5 in the morning with something appearing directly around the rising sun. He described 2 blood-red semicircular arcs, similar in shape to a crescent moon. Around them were numerous spheres, some red, others dark or iron-colored. Some appeared in groups of 3, others in groups of 4, while still others appeared alone. Then came the shapes that make this story considerably harder to dismiss as simply people seeing strange lights. Glaser described several long objects that looked like rods or tubes. In his illustrations, some of them resemble enormous cylinders suspended in the sky, and inside those cylinders were more spheres. According to the account, the spheres began moving out of the tubes and across the sky. Objects that had appeared near the sun moved toward objects on the opposite side.
Stay hydrated.
The different shapes across paths approached one another, separated, and returned. Glaser described what happened next as a fight.
I was hydrating with my beer.
Ooh,
You have a hydration beverage?
I do have a hydration beverage. Can you scroll down on the...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like, oh, she's being witty and bantering mid-script. That's wonderful.
The spheres supposedly flew back and forth toward the sun and toward one another. The larger tubes also became involved, with more spheres appearing from inside of them. Mixed among all of this were crosses, crescent-shaped objects, and other forms scattered throughout the sky. And this wasn't described as
Hydrating in
something
the rain, yay.
that lasted for a few seconds. According to Glaser, the activity continued for more than an hour. Eventually, he wrote that objects became exhausted from fighting. That's a strange choice of words because it gives the objects almost human characteristics, but we shouldn't assume Glaser literally believed the machines were becoming tired. He was trying to describe what he thought he was seeing using the language available to him in 1561. Whatever was happening apparently began to slow down. Then the objects started falling. Glaser wrote that different forms descended from the sky toward the earth. In his illustrations, several dark objects can be seen dropping outside the city while something resembling smoke rises from the ground. Bless you. In his written
Thank you.
account, he says that the objects descended with great smoke and eventually disappeared. Then came the final part of the sighting. After the apparent battle had ended, witnesses reportedly saw an enormous black object stretching across the sky. Glaser described it as a large, thick, black spear with its shaft pointing east and its tip pointing west. And that's essentially where the physical description of the event ends. There's no surviving report of soldiers riding outside the city and recovering wreckage. There are no preserved pieces of whatever supposedly fell. There are no bodies, artifacts, or physical evidence that we can examine today. What survives is the broadsheet, and Glaser's claim that many people watched these objects apparently fight above Nuremberg for more than an hour before descending toward the ground in smoke. Glaser never called these things spacecraft. He never described the pilots. He never claimed they came from another world. Those ideas were attached to the story centuries later. But if we temporarily remove both interpretations, aliens on one side and divine warning on the other, we're left with a surprisingly simple question. What natural phenomenon could cause people in 1561 to look toward the rising sun and report spears, crosses, crescents, cylinders, apparent movement, objects seemingly falling from the sky, and finally an enormous black shape stretching across the horizon? Because there are actually some possible answers. But before we go into those explanations, there's another problem with this story we need to investigate. How much can we actually trust Hans Glaser?
Fair question. Absolutely fair question.
I was supposed to shake this one first.
I have a cup over here if you want to pour it into a cup.
No, it doesn't say shake.
Is it bubbles? All right. a lot to unpack there. So we've got a pretty clear description based on almost explicitly Hans Glaser's description. It's interesting that he reports that many people saw it, but he's the only one conveying a lot of the information. I'm wondering if this is a good time, or yeah, I think this is about as good a time as any to look at some of the other photos.
Okay.
All right, check it out, everybody. Here we go. So a lot of these are secondhand accounts. These were reported after the fact. So these are, I mean, literally secondhand. So somebody probably saw Hans Glaser's woodcutting and then asked around, talked to a few people, and came up with some of these other illustrations. These have all been accurately dated within the same range. But these ones, some of these other ones do tell a little bit of a different story. This one, we got fire coming from the sky. We're clearly playing a game of medieval telephone here.
Yeah.
And clearly Hans Glaser said nothing about the sky butts.
That's true.
There were never any mentions of sky butts. Especially the orange sky butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine the guy that illustrated that's like laughing the whole time he's doing the curve of the butts. They're going to think they're clouds, but I know they're butts. Yes, I make such good jokes.
And his wife was like, George, why do you have to put butts in all of your work?
You put butts in everything. You think like one day in the future they'll make, I don't know, puzzle games with butts on everything. That would never happen.
So 100 years prior was the origins of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, geographically fairly close to Nuremberg, which also many people experienced firsthand, however, has been revealed to be a mass hallucination caused by ergot, a hallucinogenic fungus that overtook their grain stores and made its way into their food.
Ooh.
It's funny you say that because I was going to say something at the beginning about that. Do you know what ergot is?
I don't think so. I mean, clearly from the explanation from Saint, I know what it does. I just don't know that I know the... And I know that I've heard of people having something in their food that's caused hallucinations before, but...
Let's get the actual, like, dictionary definition of what ergot is. Because I know what I think it is. E the double W.
Happens to me all the time.
So ergot is a group of fungi that grow on cereal grains like rye, wheat, and barley. It replaces healthy grain seeds with hard, dark fungal structures called sclerotia. Eating contaminated food causes a toxic condition called ergotism, which brings severe spasms, hallucinations, and gangrene. Chemically speaking, it's very close to psilocybin.
Oh, okay.
Ann and I talked about this at length. We actually agreed at a few points in some of our earlier investigations in season 1 that some of the earlier medieval cases were probably ergot poisoning. Great point to bring up because this was very, very close within that same thing. And you remember back in season 2, I talked about the dancing plague. There's people that talk about ergot poisoning was the cause for the dancing plague as well. This wasn't an uncommon thing. Usually people just get very sick, but there is a number of people that will get hallucinations. It happens.
Sclerota.
Sclerotia.
I was gonna say because
Yeah.
I know you're really struggling on that one. I would have too. I'm not saying anybody should have a drinking game, because if you are of legal drinking age, you should always drink responsibly if you choose to do it. But the amount of times we mispronounce things on this show,
Yeah.
that might be
It would make a great drinking game. So it used to be season 2, back when I was by myself. Blip will remember this. I had a drinking game where every time I would say I would drink. And it was my way of breaking myself of saying all the time. I don't say it anymore now. That was with an H. But, I try my best to sound as professional as possible, as professional as I can be anyway. That being said, yes, not a horrible idea. Yeah, that would make a great drinking game. As long as you're of drinking age, clearly.
And you're drinking responsibly.
Yes, at home, safely. Let's look at the rest of these photos. So this is another one. I don't know precisely what language a lot of this is in. From the 1500s, from a foreign country that doesn't speak English.
It has a very different effect, though. I think much like datura and some botanic acids, it causes horrors and madness rather than laughs and conceptual distortions.
Right. Yeah. It's generally about people enjoying themselves. I will say that.
This gives Rapture vibes.
Yeah, and again, we're looking through the lens of, the Holy Roman Empire.
Like, there's a reason ergotich sclatura isn't really much of a recreational substance.
Absolutely, yeah. Unless you're like diehard into horror movies and you love having a horrible time and being frightened to death. I can understand that. I absolutely can. But again, a lot of these illustrations are secondhand illustrations, I feel like. Somebody took the original illustration, talked to a few people and moved on and created their own retelling. Maybe they changed a few things intentionally just for the sake of like readership or what have you. But we do have a lot of these like really strange illustrations. And then this is the one we saw earlier. This is the original, a very traditional type of illustration for the 1500s. And I think we have one more. Nope, we have two more. All right, so this is another one. This one's right within the vein of the other one. Again, we've got the sun. He looks very unhappy again. And we've got black spheres. We've got white spheres in the sky. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the foreground here that are clearly looking up at the sky, and they are distraught. I would be too if I was wearing those horribly uncomfortable shoes. One guy looks barefoot, so I guess he's not too uncomfortable.
Yeah. He said, I'm not wearing my shoes for this. I'm going to go out. It's not going to be wearing these uncomfortable shoes.
But no, it's, this second illustration kind of drives the point home, because we have two separate illustrations by two separate individuals here that are clearly depicting the same thing. And, we've looked at a couple other illustrations here that are essentially telling the same story with some minor deviations, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one wasn't hidden anyway. I need to be able to hear you. It's fine. One ear's good enough. And we have one last photo to look at. And this is a painting from the era.
Ooh.
This was a painting from like 1580 something or other, 1589, 1586. This is painted on wood. And again, this is the same celestial event, but it's clearly depicted in more of a religious lens. Like we're seeing like halos. Hard to say precisely what's going on here, but these are all...
a very similar event a short bit later in Switzerland, which I also think was recorded by a woodcut artist from a local art school. Is it just War of the Worlds in the 14th century? Sorry, maybe that's spoilers for the pod.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. It does seem that there was an unusual number of strange celestial events happening in medieval times. I had considered doing an episode on paranormal imagery in traditional religious paintings, but I had a hard time putting like a script together and making it coherent enough. There is an overwhelming number of paintings generally depicting things like Jesus or the Virgin Mary where there are UFOs clearly in the background. And then there's some of them that are like very loosely defined. But looking through the eyes of a paranormal investigator, it makes paranormal sense. A beam of light coming down on one person and them floating, ascending to heaven. It sounds a lot like a UFO picking somebody up with a tractor beam or whatever. But there are actual paintings out there, traditional paintings that have been around from the same era with clearly defined UFOs in the sky.
Meteor shower.
So here's the thing about the eclipse is the sun already came up, and at this point we already knew what an eclipse was. So I don't think it was an eclipse. So an eclipse, that was my knee-jerk reaction, was saying an eclipse, because when you look at an eclipse, so like a lot of people don't look at the ground during an eclipse, they're always looking up. But if you look at the ground during an eclipse, every shadow that's cast is cast in the shape of the eclipse. So if you get like a 30% crescent or whatever, if you look at the sun through the trees, instead of getting the outline of the trees, you're going to get the outline of the eclipse.
Little green men didn't largely exist in popular consciousness. Others were more spiritual and supernatural rather than flying saucers, which essentially became the face of the phenomenon in the post-nuclear age.
Yeah, precisely. We're looking at this through a religious lens.
So religious stuff would likely be the fallback.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of people, and again, that's what Hans was saying at the beginning, was he was afraid that this was a sign from God, that we needed to act right and repent for our sins, and this is why it's happening.
Right.
I'm not saying that's not what happened, but there's nothing in the Bible that says anything about giant black spears or orbs or cylinders with orbs inside of it coming down and fighting in the sky over a very specific town in Germany anywhere in the Bible.
And I feel like
the intersecting thing about this is that outside of a very few specific events, we haven't really had any reports of all of these shapes interacting again.
This is true.
I feel like, to be clear, like what you're saying about it not being in the Bible is not necessarily you saying that because it's not in the Bible, it didn't happen. I think what you're saying is because it's not in the Bible, but this was such a spectacular event that if indeed it was decided that it was a sign from God at that time, you would imagine that it would be in the Bible because it's such a spectacular event.
Come back to that. But yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
Because because the way that the King James version of the Bible is written, we know that it's written in a lot of ways as this misogynistic power play by King James anyway.
Yeah.
And so it would make sense for something like this to be included in it as evidence of, because
at this time they were
I think that's
rewriting.
what you're saying by that.
We didn't have any non-natural objects in the air in the 1500s.
Yeah, we didn't even have hot air balloons. At this point, the only thing you would see in the sky were naturally occurring celestial events. So the only explanation at that time would be viewed through a religious lens.
Right.
Essentially. And again, it's hard to say precisely what they saw. There's so many different ways that you can interpret what... I mean, think about, like, Native American groups when they see things like spirits or ghosts or evil spirits. We see them as something maleficent.
And also, a sign from God of what? It's just a load of shapes in it.
Right.
Well, that was my other thought, too, right, Saint? Which is, like... I would love to know the whole article of that, because sometimes when people say that something is a sign from God, I'm going to use the word sometimes loosely, what they really want is for there to be a sign that their particular idea or motive is the correct thing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So then they want to use that to make the public say, oh, yes, this is from God.
Some omnipotent being sending messages, they would make sure that the things they created could understand them. Otherwise, it's not really a message. is it?
Right,
No,
right.
no, exactly. No,
Yeah.
I agree. So that in my mind, when we are asking the question, can we trust Hans Glaser? I don't really know that is that way. So yeah, I totally trust him.
You know what it makes me think of? And I think you're getting on the same thread. That episode of Rick and Morty. See, she's laughing already because she knows. With the giant heads that show up out of space.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, and there was the group of people that are like, "Oh, it's a sign from God. You know, these are God. This is God here." So they create the religion.
That noise may be sundogs and some of those unusual cloud formations like Mamutu that are super bumpy and shapy. Lenticular clouds, etc.
Yeah. There was a very, we can encompass this entire episode in the one episode of Rick and Morty, and that's the Show Me What You Got episode. A giant head comes down. There's an actual story happening that involves Rick and Morty and the giant heads, but you're looking at it through the lens of a person that's off a couple 100 miles, interacting with the heads, but not interacting with the heads. They think there's, we're going to...
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. They think that they're, we're going to tie a bunch of people to balloons and they're going to ascend. And yeah, I like what you've got. Oh, clearly the gods think that was the right thing to do.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's same lens, same
Yeah.
thing. But realistically, there's something going on a couple 100 miles away. Yeah, the Get Swifty episode. Everybody knows that one. But yeah, I think we're looking at that kind of situation here. There was something really going on there. But again, we're looking at it through a religious lens, just like they were the Get Swifty episode. And the storyline gets a little muddled
Yeah.
because it was a whole different storyline. Like it changed Summer. She went, Summer and Morty, or was it just Summer?
No, because Morty was with Rick. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
Summer and Beth and
Yeah. And then Summer became like a really
Carrie.
good child.
yeah.
Let me make you dinner from the potatoes that we grew from the garden.
Yeah.
Heads be praised. Yeah, you gotta love Rick and Morty. They got their thumb on the pulse. They know what's going on. Yeah, those are some really interesting images there. Again, those are not AI generated images. Those are actual historical images. They've been around for many hundreds of years, century and a half. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's dive into Act 3. Before we get sidetracked too much on Rick and Morty. I'll sit here and talk about Rick and Morty all night long. All right, everybody, this is Act 3. Everybody, Act 3, can we trust the story? So far, we've been talking about the Nuremberg event as though we're reconstructing a historical eyewitness account, but there's a problem. Almost everything we discussed comes back to Hans Glaser. Glaser wasn't a scientist or a historian. He was a professional printer, woodcut maker, and a publisher who worked in Nuremberg for decades. And the document he created about the events on April 14th wasn't anything unusual for the time. Yes, you've heard that right. Wasn't unusual. It belonged to a popular type of publication known in German as the Flugblatt. Excuse me. Basically, a single-sheet illustration broadsheet that could spread news, extraordinary stories, religious messages, and reports of unusual events. And there was an entire category devoted to strange signs and wonders. They were sometimes called Wunderzeichen. Wunderzeichen. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I understand. Literally means wonder signs. These broadsheets reported everything from comets to eclipses, to strange weather, unusual births, earthquakes, and unexplained objects appearing in the heavens. And very often, whatever strange event was being reported came with exactly the kind of message we find in Glaser's Nuremberg account. God is trying to tell us something. That doesn't mean that the event was invented. In fact, many of the publications appear to have been inspired by real astronomical or atmospheric phenomena. The problem is that people creating them weren't necessarily trying to produce an objective scientific record. They were reporting something unusual while also interpreting what that event meant. And Glaser himself had produced other broadsheets involving strange things appearing in the sky. Just weeks before the famous April event, he published another account describing an unusual celestial display over Nuremberg on March 2nd of 1561. The broadsheet was also represented the phenomena as a divine sign and encouraged people to take God's warning seriously. So by the time we reach April 14th, Glaser is working with an established tradition. Something strange appears in the sky, people talk about it. A printer illustrates it, and the story becomes a warning from God. There's another major limitation. We don't actually have hundreds of individual witness statements. Glaser tells us the event was witnessed by men and women throughout Nuremberg and the surrounding countryside, but we don't have their names. We don't have separate descriptions from dozens of people allowing us to compare what each person saw. And we don't even know with certainty how much of the event Glaser personally witnessed. That doesn't automatically make his account false, but it means the phrase hundreds of witnesses that sometimes appears in modern retellings gives us a stronger impression of the evidence that we actually possess. So what we really have is one surviving published account claiming that many people witnessed the event. And then there's the illustration itself. Glaser wasn't attempting photorealism. His woodcut is symbolic and stylized. Even the city of Nuremberg isn't represented with perfect accuracy. So when we look at these cylinders and say they resemble enormous spacecraft launching smaller craft, we have to remember that we're placing a modern interpretation into a 16th century piece of artwork. And the same applies with the apparent battle. Glaser lived in a Europe where warfare was part of everyday life. If unusual lights repeatedly moved toward and away from one another, describing them as fighting would have made sense within this cultural world. Just as someone today might look at strange lights and say they moved like aircraft, Glaser compared what he saw, or what he had described to him, to something he understood, a battle. None of this proves that nothing strange happened over Nuremberg. It makes sense that the case is more interesting. Because somewhere underneath the religious language, artistic symbolism, exaggeration, and 4.5 centuries of retelling, there may very well have been a genuine event that morning. Something apparently happened in the sky, enough that Hans Glaser considered it worth printing. But whatever the people of Nuremberg actually witnessed, the story had to pass through the beliefs and language of 1561 before it could reach us. And that raises another question. Because Nuremberg wasn't the only European city where people reported something like this. Just 5 years later, another city would report strange objects in the sky. And once again, they appeared to be fighting.
Is this what Saint was talking about earlier?
Yes. Oh, part of it. Satan was talking about the ergot poisoning.
Oh no, but I think Saint said something about this happening again.
Yes.
Another
Yeah, so we are going to touch on that just a little bit, but it's no big deal. No big deal at all. So how you feeling about it so far? It's a strange...
Now that I know the stuff about the ergot poisoning and all that, I think that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Or I just don't feel like it's alien visitation.
Okay.
But we'll see.
I don't know. They didn't have a lens of reference for things falling out of the sky and smoking. That's what bothers me the most. You see what I'm saying? Like, we get the idea that if something is flying through the sky and it crashes, it's going to burn, it's going to cause smoke.
Yeah.
Because we understand the basics of like, aeronautics and propulsion. There's a fuel, there's combustion that happens. And if a plane crashes, there's an explosion, there's burning fuel.
But on that same token, why did no one go investigate and find the wreckage of these?
I don't know. I wasn't
Why
there.
was there no wreckage?
I wasn't there. I don't know. Just don't judge me. You judger. Both very valid points. All right. You ready to dig into Act 4?
Act 4.
You want nighttime sounds. That's what you want. All right, you got it, girl. Go ahead.
Act 4. 5 years later, it happened again. Act 4. If the Nuremberg story existed completely on its own, it would be easy to dismiss it as one of the strange 16th century accounts that had become more dramatic with time. But 5 years later, something remarkably similar.
I feel like Glaser bullshat, and then within 5 years, another woodcut artist made a very similar image and claim.
Yeah. But 5 years later, something remarkably similar was reported roughly 250 miles away. This time, the location. Is this really pronounced as Basel,
yeah.
Switzerland? That's funny. During the summer of 1566, residents of Basel reportedly witnessed a series of unusual events in the sky on 3 separate occasions: July 27th, 28th, and August 7th. The first 2 sightings involved strange changes in the appearance of the sun and moon. Wonder if it was looking disdainfully upon them, just like it was in those pictures.
Came up over the...
Get off my lawn.
What is that planet from Rick and Morty? That planet from Rick and Morty. Oh, this planet looks totally fine. We can live here, and the sun comes up.
On the evening of July 27th, the sun reportedly lost much of its normal brightness and appeared unusually dark and red. The moon that night was also described as almost blood red, and when the sun rose the following morning, its strange reddish appearance supposedly continued. Interesting, but not necessarily paranormal. Eclipses, atmospheric conditions, smoke, dust, and other natural phenomena can produce some pretty spectacular changes in the appearance of the sun and moon. But then came August 7th. Shortly before sunrise, witnesses reportedly saw large numbers of black spheres moving through the sky in front of the sun. The account said these spheres moved with great speed. And then, just like the objects over Nuremberg 5 years earlier, they appeared to interact with one another. The spheres supposedly moved toward each other and collided, giving witnesses the impression that they were engaged in some kind of fight. Some of the black objects had reportedly changed color, becoming red and fiery before breaking apart or simply fading from view. Once again, somebody decided the event was important enough to print. A broadsheet was produced by printer Samuel Apparatus. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
With help from Samuel Coxius. Just like the Nuremberg broadsheet, the illustration shows the city beneath a sky filled with strange objects. But there's an important detail here. Neither man appears to have personally witnessed the events. According to the Swiss National Museum, they relied on the first and second-hand reports when creating the broadsheet. So once again, we're dealing with a historical report rather than a collection of preserved eyewitness testimony. And once again, the interpretation was religious. The Basel broadsheet presented the events as divine signs and warned people to repent. The surviving original is now held by the Zentrale Bibliothek Zurich, the same library that preserves the famous Nuremberg broadsheet. But put the religious interpretation aside for a moment and compare the two stories. Nuremberg 1561, numerous objects appear around the rising sun, spheres move rapidly through the sky and appear to fight one another. Some reportedly fall or disappear. Basel 1566, numerous spherical objects appear around the rising sun. They move rapidly through the sky, appearing to collide or fight with one another, and some become red or fiery before disappearing. 5 years apart, 2 different cities, 2 different printed accounts, and the description sounds strangely familiar. At first glance, that seems to be incredible, supporting the evidence for the Nuremberg event. But there's another way to look at it. The similarities might not prove that the same mysterious objects appeared twice. They might instead tell us that people living in this part of Europe were witnessing similar natural phenomena and interpreting them through the same religious and cultural beliefs. These broadsheets weren't scientific reports. They were part of a world where strange events in the heavens could be interpreted as warnings from God. And images of celestial conflict made those warnings understandable to the people reading them. So the Basel event gives us something incredibly valuable. Not proof that UFOs were fighting over Europe, but another example of how people in the 16th century described something genuinely unusual happening in the sky. And now that we have two cases to compare, we can finally ask the question we've been building to since the beginning of this episode. What could those people actually have been seeing?
All right, we've come to Act 5.
Yeah.
The great Act 5, everybody. This is the part of the podcast where we open it up for predictions. Hazel's going to go and get our third host for the evening. And while she does that, I'm going to set everything up for a prediction. This is the part where we open up for our listeners on Twitch and people watching on YouTube, where you get a chance to vote on whether this is really paranormal or not. Those of you watching on Twitch, you are allowed to physically vote. We'll actually have a poll up, and whoever's watching will be able to physically vote. I'm setting it up right now.
On a more sci-fi angle, maybe though, we were not seeing a corporeal thing. It could have easily have been a thing happening elsewhere in time, space, and some sort of energy from that event caused us to temporarily be able to see into another dimension or time. That would support there being no battle detritus found or reported. Perhaps the 5-year difference between Nuremberg and Basel was the same event being observed at different points in human time. I was saving hitting send on that until Hazel had finished.
No, you're good. No, it's a valid point. But you know, I again, just like this story, we do have a hard time validating any of that. But you know, that's why we do what we do. We are paranormal investigators. We do our best to take what evidence we have into account, and you know, that's entirely valid. I completely agree with you. I'm all about the time shift and dimension shift part of an investigation. You know, I still to this day kind of think that Bigfoot might be interdimensional, simply because we just haven't seen him. There's no physical evidence. But no, it's not horribly. It's not a horrible idea. It really isn't. So we're gonna go ahead and start this prediction. Basil's here, everybody. I'm gonna turn on the puppy camera. Here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah, Basil's here. Basil's here. Oh yeah. Check out that Basil down there. Getting his Sunday night bone in.
I love it, AMD. The woodcuts are awesome, but I feel like artistic capitalism and a desire for clout was the source.
Yeah, it's definitely a little. I don't know. It's
Basil.
Hey, there he is, everybody. Everybody loves Basil. Yeah, I think it was honestly an attempt for sensationalism, but we'll get to that. We still got one more act left to read. I'm setting up the prediction now. Everybody in Twitch has got a chance to vote. And if you get the prediction correct, you can win channel points. So the vote is live. Prediction is live. If you look at the top of your chat bar, you're going to see a wonderful little purple banner scanning where you can win channel points if you make your prediction correct. You can even wager some extra channel points and win some extras in back. Those of you watching in YouTube land, you can just drop in chat what your prediction is, and we will take your prediction into account for the final vote. And the majority vote gets the rule. So, get a chance to vote for paranormal or not paranormal. The vote is live. The vote is live, everybody. We're going to jump into Act 5.
Before we do, Basil told me on the way upstairs, he asked me to make sure that we let people know that he got a haircut and a bath today.
Yes, Basil did get a haircut and a bath today. He's looking extra handsome and trim. Oh, olive oil's even here. Let's go ahead and let the world know.
Basil based Bob.
I always feel like I come across as a big skeptic when chatting, but I'm far more softer at IRL. Big proponent of the whole ultra-terrestrial phenomenon and it being a new face of the same thing humans have been experiencing since life has existed.
Not a horrible idea. All right. So back in season 1, Ann and I had this great idea that a lot of the extraterrestrial and UFO sightings we see today are essentially tourists. They all load up on an interstellar craft and they want to drive by this. They want to drive by this trailer park of a planet, and every now and again they have a few two drinks and they, wreck their car. And government does what they do. But it makes there's 100 different ways you can look at it, and there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. I really like the idea that we're a tourist hotspot. I really do. Because it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
My main thing, I guess, is that we experience such a narrow range of input in terms of light and audio spectrums that there's just LAODS of unmeasurable stuff that we experience, but LTIE rally can't pass. I did the wrong option on the poll. Oops.
It's all right. At the end, just tell us what you voted, and we'll get it straight. I don't think that there's a way I can reverse the poll. Not that I know of. We do have an ad coming in 6 minutes, so if anybody gets caught with the ad, just give us a shout and we'll sidebar for a little bit. But we are going to dive off into Act 5 right quick, everybody. We're going to wrap this thing up in a nice, neat little bow. Now that we got this puppy cam running, and give you something to look at while we read the last little bit of this. So this is Act 5, everybody. Act 5, what really happened over Nuremberg? So after 465 years, can we actually explain what happened over Nuremberg? The most common natural explanation is something called perihelion, better known as a sundog. There you go. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Possibly combined with other atmospheric optical effects. Sundogs happen when sunlight passes through ice crystals suspended high in the atmosphere under the right conditions. And those crystals can produce bright spots beside the sun, colored arcs, halos, vertical pillars intersecting bands of light. And immediately there are some pretty strong connections to Nuremberg. Glaser specifically places the event around the rising sun and describes red arcs surrounding it, along with crosses, spheres, and long shapes, and a complicated solar halo can display and produce several of those features simultaneously. And because the sun was low on the horizon, conditions would have been favorable for certain types of atmospheric optics. And that could explain quite a bit of it. But that doesn't explain everything. A sundog doesn't literally launch spheres out of a cylinder, and it doesn't fight along other sundogs for an hour, become exhausted, and fall toward the ground and disappear into smoke. So if atmospheric optics were responsible, then at least some of Glaser's descriptions possibly wasn't a literal representation of what was happening. And that's entirely possible. Imagine seeing an enormous, complicated halo display in 1561 without understanding the physics behind it. Clouds are moving, different portions become brighter or disappear, colors change as the sun rises, birds, smoke, or other objects could pass through the display, and then dozens of people begin talking about what they're seeing. One person sees spheres, another sees weapons, and someone else says they see objects appearing to be fighting. And eventually the story reaches a printer working in a culture where unusual events in the heavens are routinely interpreted as messages from God. So by the time it becomes a woodcut, a strange atmospheric event becomes a battle in the sky. There's also the possibility that multiple natural events happened at once. Atmospheric optics could account for the shapes around the sun, while clouds, birds, meteors, smoke, or other objects created the apparent movement. Then there's another explanation. Maybe Glaser simply exaggerated the story. His broadsheet wasn't a scientific paper. It was designed to be seen, read, and discussed. Most importantly, understood as a warning. A sky filled with wearing objects makes a much stronger religious message than an unusually impressive sunrise. But then we have the UFO interpretation. And if you read Glaser's account through modern eyes, it's easy to understand why people make that connection. Large cylindrical objects appear in the sky. Smaller spherical objects apparently emerge from them. Those objects maneuver independently. They engage one another. Some supposedly fall towards the ground, producing smoke. And finally, an enormous black object appears. If someone reported that exact sequence today, we'd probably be talking about UFOs. And that's also the problem. We're applying a 21st century language and concepts to a 16th century story. Calling the cylinders motherships doesn't make them motherships, but calling the spears crafts doesn't make them a craft. And Glaser himself never suggested anything remotely extraterrestrial. And there's no physical evidence. No wreckage, no recovered objects, no independent collection of eyewitness testimony, no second account that allows us to verify exactly what was seen over Nuremberg. All we really know for certain is that Hans Glaser produced a broadsheet in 1561 describing a strange event that he claimed many people witnessed and what he believed was a sign from God. Personally, I think the atmospheric explanation gets us closest, but something unusual may genuinely have appeared around the rising sun. People tried to understand it, stories spread through the city, and Glaser transformed those reports into the incredible image we still have today. But there's one part we can never recover. The original view. Before Glaser drew it, before people interpreted it, before 4.5 centuries of retelling turned it into one of history's most famous UFO stories, we can look at the same woodcut those people saw in 1561, but we'll never get to look up at the sky with them. And because of that, we'll probably never know exactly what happened over Nuremberg that morning. Whether they witnessed an extraordinary display of atmospheric optics, a religious story growing in the telling, or something considerably stranger. Nice little bow on top of that one.
Sky butts.
Sky butts, yes. Clearly, sky butts.
Clearly.
Pick that girl up. She wants to be up here on the camera.
That's it. It's up.
We got an olive oil too. She decided she wanted to be on the podcast tonight. And she left.
I'm gonna stand down there and cry.
There is... Oh, there it is.
Surely you mean au revoir? No, goodbye. Olive oil, drum and bass.
A great olive oil. She's gracious with the presents. She's currently licking her lady parts on the floor. Yep, she's very flexible. She's very flexible. All right, we've got it. 10 seconds remaining on the vote. Now's your chance, everybody. Let me see. Flip, go ahead and tell us what you voted so we can count it correctly. We want to make sure we get the correct votes. I think we're all leaning in the same direction here. We also do have a redemption for those of you watching in Twitch. You can select, there's redemption down there to choose paranormal or not paranormal. It only costs, like 20 points, 25 points. Something like that. Where's it at? 25 points, yeah. Yeah, let us know what you voted, Flip, and we'll count that in with everybody else. And those of you watching in Twitch land,
Time of year for this event. I feel like it could be checked against the now known meteor events like the Perseids.
you know, we don't have a time of year. However,
No, we did, didn't we? It was April 17th
April. Oh, yeah.
or 14th.
I
April
feel
14th.
like a known celestial event would have.
April 14th.
Yeah, I feel like a known celestial event would have came up in the research, right?
Maybe.
Should we look it up? You gonna look it up? While she's looking that up, I want to say the crosses in the sky were one of the things that kind of threw me a little bit at first.
Sorry, 15.
1561, yeah.
The Lyrids happen in April, apparently.
The Lyrids.
It's okay. I'm wobbling to the not side now anyway. But then I don't know if they did there and then.
Yeah, there should have been a meteor shower around that time. However, I mean, it doesn't explain why they were visible, like stationary almost, moving around towards each other. They generally kind of fall in one direction, right?
I don't know.
I have to say non-paranormal. I imagine seeing meteors in front of a rising sun might be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would see them, honestly, because the majority of what we see for a meteor shower is the tail of it breaking up in our atmosphere, right?
Well, I mean, here's crash to Earth.
Sure, small ones.
Esque.
I don't know that there's so many factors we don't know. Range, like how far away were they?
I mean, on the artwork you showed us, they looked like little bocce balls.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, are you meow bean?
All right. Well, let's look at this prediction. Let's see what everybody else has said. We got 4 votes for not paranormal. We'll take it. I'll go first tonight since you usually go. I'm gonna say tonight's investigation is not paranormal.
Brr, brr.
I need like a sad trumpet sound. That's what we're missing. A sad trumpet sound. Wah, wah, wah. But no, there's just not enough evidence. Clearly not enough evidence. If something literally crashed and was smoking, they would have gone and looked at it. Somebody would have scooped, if it was a warning from God, we've got a physical piece of God right here.
Yeah.
They would have held on to that for dear life.
Yeah.
I will say it is a little weird that they depicted something in the sky fighting, something crashes and smokes. Up until that point, they have no point of reference for things flying in the sky, crashing and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a good while.
Yeah.
I think maybe something happened. And, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're staring at the sun, you're going to see black dots anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there was a social experiment where there's a couple of them. Let me start off with a simple one where somebody stands outside of a door and someone says, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm waiting in line." "Oh, okay." Something in the human brain makes us want to expect something great. So they'll start standing in line too. And then they'll see a huge line. Next thing you know, you've got a line of 100 people waiting for nothing. On that same token, yeah, this was a real thing.
Okay, you should hold your same token because I've got a sidebar here. This happened to me yesterday in a gas station. So I stopped to go to the bathroom, and where we live, it's tourist season, so there's tons of people like just at these gas stations all the time, right? And I see this woman go in with her 2 little kids. It's a 2-stall deal, and so I just see her go in, and it looks like the bathroom doors are closed and she's just standing inside. She's not going into a stall. So I assume that both stalls are full. One person comes out, I go in, that kind of deal. Small bathroom situation, right? There's a line forming behind me. So I go in and I stand in there and I'm just waiting for this woman to finish with her 2 daughters in the bathroom stall, thinking that the other stall has someone in it the whole time. Okay? And so this line is continuing to form.
Oh no.
And at some point I go, I wonder, because I'm not hearing anything from that other stall. I mean, like 5 minutes passes, right?
Yeah.
At least. And so I walk up and I just like touch the door and it's open. And
You
and
are a
I'm-
monster.
and I walk in, or walk up, and there's nothing, there's no, no one in there. So I just went in there. I'm telling you, people opened that door multiple times while I was standing in there, but continued to stand in the line. Nobody else
Yeah.
thought to check either.
Yeah.
And so but I also was like, oh God, I can never come back to the gas station again.
But yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. People will stand in line for nothing.
Yes.
And there was another social experiment where a guy stood out in the street in Los Angeles, and he's looking up at the sky, and he's like, he's got a buddy, and he's pointing, and then somebody walks by. What are you looking at? He's like, don't you see that right there? There's nothing in the sky. And he's like, don't you see it? It's right there. It's a black object. And the person that walks by, oh, I see it. I see it. Next thing you know, there's 15, 20 people standing on the sidewalk saying they all see a black object in the sky when there's not.
Yeah.
This happens. It's something in the human brain that makes you want to be part of something amazing. And I think this is just one of those examples. Maybe somebody saw a shooting star and a game of telephone took over. And next thing you know, there's a whole sky full of black objects fighting and one crashed. Because I could see that, Oh, I saw the black objects fighting. Oh, well, I saw one crash over there and it's smoking. Well, I saw a giant spear. Yeah, I could totally see this happening. Totally see it happening. So I'm gonna say not paranormal.
Yeah.
That's my official vote. Not paranormal.
My official vote's also not paranormal. I don't know what actually happened
Oh,
in
well, I
Nuremberg
saw
that day.
UFOs.
I don't know
Yeah.
what actually happened in Nuremberg that day, but I do think that, when you become an adult,
Here we go.
life becomes very, where it just, like, the same thing happens over and over and over again.
Repetitious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And back then, even more so, right? Because
Yeah.
there are fewer things that you really have. And
Boring.
yes.
Utterly mundane.
Yeah, mundane is the word I was looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
I couldn't land on it, but yoga broke my brain today. Yeah. And I think that, like you said, somebody pointed to the sky and said, I see something, and that became this big, huge thing that it really wasn't.
Yeah.
And, because we want to latch on to something exciting, fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the official word is not paranormal.
Bum, bum, bum.
That is absolutely not paranormal.
All right, folks, we did it. We've debunked another one. We've done it. We've done it. We've done it. What are we thinking for next week before we close this thing out? So we did a cryptid last week.
I always thought
Think
mundane
so.
meant boring, but it was only a few years ago that I looked into it, and it's Latin for the planet Earth. So it refers directly to things that are JSUT regular Earth things as opposed to
Oh.
space things.
Oh, okay. That makes total sense. Yeah.
Regular Earth thing.
Nice etymology.
Was Merriam-Webster posted something on social media today about kangaroo words and how they have different things inside of them.
Like Mapamunda is a map of the world.
And like the word alone has lone inside of it and the word one inside of it. So it's considered like a double Joey word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know where we get the word kangaroo from, right? You said kangaroo word?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that. You don't know where we get kangaroo from. So when the Europeans landed on Australia, they had a group of Aboriginals that they were teaching their language so they can learn what was in their country. And, they would say, oh, well, what's that? They would tell them the word for that. And they would say, okay, cool, I'll make a note of that. And they would say, well, what's this? And they would make a note of that. And the Europeans saw a kangaroo And he asked the Aboriginal, well, what's that? And he said, kangaroo. And come to find out, kangaroo was the Aboriginal word for I don't know.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's a thing?
Yeah.
That's weird.
So we call it a kangaroo, but in the Aboriginal tongue, it didn't have a name.
That's funny. Funny.
Yeah. All right, we did last week we did a haunted forest. The week before.
I don't care if that's real. It's a great story.
It is a great story.
It's just one of those things that, like, before the internet, your grandpa, your uncle would tell you something, and like when you're young, you're like, oh yeah, that's totally a thing. And
That's
then
a fact, yeah.
you go to school and you repeat it to somebody, and they're like, that's
No.
not a thing.
That's not it.
It just felt, the way you set it up just felt that way. Like, are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah.
Should we Snopes.com it?
Yeah, well, let's not. I don't want to be proven wrong live on the podcast.
Greatest podcast in the world, as long as you don't fact check it.
Yeah, we're the greatest paranormal podcast in the world, as long as you don't fact check. All right, so we did the Nuremberg event tonight. So I guess this classifies itself as a UFO event. Last week was the haunted forest. We did Chupacabra before that. The face
you're
peelers
uncrypted.
before that.
You're uncrypted now.
Are we uncrypted, or do we want? Oh no, yeah, I guess that's about right. We're up for a cryptid next week. We'll come up with a cryptid. I gotta dig through the list and find something worth. I do have something that's kind of a little off the beaten path. We might do something a little different next week.
Okay.
It doesn't quite fall under a category. Almost
Ooh.
true crime, murder stuff, but there is some lore behind this one. Yeah, we're gonna go with the one that I'm thinking of. I need to make a note of this before I forget, because I will forget before next week. Oh, yeah, wrong account. Womp womp. This one. Gonna keep. Yes. That one. I don't want to say it because people are going to start looking it up. Cool. All right. So we decided this week's episode was not paranormal. Absolutely not paranormal.
That is absolutely not paranormal.
We got a closing monologue to get through right quick. Shoot, I guess I should have seen if there's anybody that we should raid before I got too far into it. I go to the stream manager.
Thanks muchly for the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Worlds, for bringing people. Thank you to all the people who stayed.
Yeah, we
Thank you to James for coming in, for Monty, for Blip.
Yeah, Blip came in and subbed tonight. Thanks for your sub tonight, Blip.
Thanks to Flip. Thanks to Saint. I don't know who else. I've lost track.
Yeah, I think
I've
Flip
lost
and
track of
Saint.
what I've said.
I'm sure Worlds has fallen asleep.
I did say thank you to Worlds
Oh, okay.
first.
That's okay. Nobody were.
I hope I'm not a pain in the arse.
Oh no.
I'm
You are
sort of
not.
deep in this and don't have any people to ramble at.
No, it's totally fine. Oh, look on the puppy cam. Oh my goodness. Be still my heart. I'm trying to make it big so everybody could see.
Oh,
They don't do this very
Oh.
often.
head bumps.
They never do this. Is she licking his bone?
I think she might be.
Yes.
And he's just like, all right, girl.
Okay. Cool. They're a special pair. Well, let's hit this closing monologue.
Weird kink.
Yeah, they're a weird couple. Like sometimes she'll just be like, okay, now it's time for me to clean your paws. And she'll start licking his paws, and then he'll start to pull back, and she'll bop him on top of the head and then pull his paw back so she can finish cleaning him. They're an adorable pair. They really are. Anywho, let's hit this closing monologue. We're going to get the hell out of here. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Let's rip this thing. Let's rip it.
Her weird little kitten.
I have a picture somewhere of her holding his bone in her mouth, which is a little weird.
He's not sure what she is.
Yeah. She's only ever had experience with him, so.
Yeah.
Anywho, here we go. Let's wrap this thing up. So for more than 465 years, the Nuremberg Sky Battle has survived because of one image. Hans Glaser looked at the story of the strange objects filling the sky above his city and saw a warning from God. Today we look at that exact same image and see something completely different. We see cylinders, spheres, objects moving through the sky, things apparently falling to the ground, and maybe even a battle between UFOs. That's what makes this case so interesting. The event itself hasn't changed. We have. Every generation looks at the unexplained through the world it understands, and in 1561, that meant signs from heaven. Today it means extraterrestrials, spacecraft, UAPs. Maybe what appeared over Nuremberg was nothing more than an incredible atmospheric phenomenon. Maybe the story grew with every person who repeated it, or maybe something genuinely extraordinary happened. And the people watching simply didn't have the words to describe it. Whatever the answer is, Glaser himself may have summed it up better than anyone when he admitted that those were signs truly meant. Only God knew. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Beyond the Shadows podcast. If you enjoyed tonight's investigation, make sure you follow the show, subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, and come back next week when Hazel and I will once again dig into another piece of the strange, paranormal, and unexplained. So, if you find yourself awake at 4 o'clock in the morning and the music stops for some reason, hold on. Yeah, there we go. So if you find yourself awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you happen to look outside and see hundreds of glowing spheres pouring out of giant cylinders and fighting each other around the sun, maybe grab your phone and get some video, because apparently drawing one picture of it means people are going to argue about what you saw for the next 465 years. And if a giant black sphere suddenly appears across the sky, maybe don't be the one who goes looking for where it landed. But whether it's aliens, atmospheric optics, a warning from God, or just the weirdest sunrise in recorded history, no matter what you do, make sure you follow us Beyond the Shadows. Good night, everybody.
Creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs. Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him. Why, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.